right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to have an important discussion when it comes to various gacha game communities and, of course, their content creators. Because boy, oh boy, has there been a lot of exposés about what's going on in the background in the Hoyoverse space. And it's safe to say, ladies and gentlemen, it is not very good. There's been a couple of creators specifically that have focused a lot on Genshin Impacto in the pasto, and due to some recent occurrences like the game progressively getting worse every single patch, having the most predatory banner system that we've seen in the space for a while with that whole Mavuika Sidlali thing, and now a Genshin endgame that is literally not completable unless you're a whale, and you've made sure to whale on the newest characters that have come out. Your C6 Hu Tao is useless, by the way. Well. A lot of people that used to play this game, that used to be big fans of this game, they're not very happy anymore. Braxophone, who you're seeing over here on this tweet, is actually one of them. He used to create Genshin Impact content, but he doesn't anymore because the community got so dogshit and toxic to anybody who had any critiques for the game. And you see him over here talking about somebody, or really somebody that's talking about somebody that also covers Genshin Impact in the same way, BranOnline. So let's just go ahead and see what Braxophone has written over here. This guy talked positive about Genshin for years, and the second he gets honest about how he feels about the game, the community turns on him. This is why people are afraid to be honest about the game. Based Online is the GOAT for speaking his mind. So I think it's pretty clear what's going on, right? Braxophone is a person that used to be in BranOnline's shoes. From the perspective of Braxophone, guide maker, right? Also has been branching out to into other variety sort of content regarding gachas. You should take a look at it. Used to really cover Genshin Impact a lot. Then Genshin didn't get better. It started getting worse. You know, a lot more predatory things came out. People spoke up about it, and then they got brigaded by people like this in the community. And BranOnline, well, the same exact thing is happening to him because he's been on a slew of some videos focused around how times are changing for his channel. He's covering less Genshin Impact and how he is so absurdly disappointed in the newest end game mode. But the thing is, I don't think his community necessarily is too unhappy with his decisions or, you know, the path that he's taken, because the dislike ratios on these videos actually look pretty okay. But one thing for certain is that they're not getting the massive number of relative views that he used to get before. His audience is shifting. And for most creators that have been entrenched in Genshin Impact, that's actually a pretty good thing. But it's also a risk that you have to take. And even this video over here, him talking about how pissed off he is at the systems. While the dislikes are a lot, the ratio still isn't that crazy. That's probably close to like a 96, 95, maybe 94%, just according to some of the numbers over here. But for a creator like him, that is kind of negative. And so let's just go ahead and take a look at this. We've gone through the context, we've gone through the clues. Let's look at what is going on over here. We've got a post by Zach Asterisk, he, him, and keyword over here, 17. You wanna know how old this idiot was when Genshin Impact came out? He was 13 or 12. When Genshin Impact came out, when it was released, this was a 12 to 13-year-old. They grew up during COVID in their teen formative years. They are likely mentally retarded. That's honestly just the expectation you should have. Anybody that's 16, 17, 18 nowadays, because they spent so much of their formative years where they figure out how to be a functioning member of society, interact with people, control hormones, all of that, when they spent a majority of those years talking to an iPad instead of actual people, the end result, guys, is that they're some of the dumbest people on existence, like in existence, the dumbest people on planet Earth. They're the COVID kids. They're honestly probably a greater terror on society than the advent of fucking World War III. I'm more concerned about the COVID kids than Iran or Iraq at this point, because these are the people that are going to carry forward the future, right? These are the people that are supposed to be somebody's boss one day, and they're out here playing defense for gacha game companies instead of going to college or something like that. The end result, guys, is that there's so many of these sort of individuals over here whose entire personality just happens to focus around a gacha game because they never actually had the opportunity to make any real friends. Now they're at the point where, well, he critiqued our game. He said our game isn't perfect. This game has been more present in my life than my father, and so I must defend the game because he's talking badly about it. And that's the issue that's occurring. That is the issue that is happening. These people are more dedicated to this game than some people to their sports teams. And the end result, guys, is that simply making valid critiques, simply speaking your mind, is going to result in you getting publicly lambasted from every single degree by people who have the critical thinking skills of an Idaho potato. And this is the thing. Some people with an established community, some people that have already been able to build up a healthy number of subscribers and, you know, can regularly take some hits on their content as they transition their audience, which is what Bran is doing. Hats off to him. There are still a lot of people that aren't able to do that. And namely, the people that I'm going to talk about today are, well, smaller content creators. Those that don't have 100, 200, 300,000 subs. Those that have built up, you know, smaller communities. And in a sense, are kind of tied to the game and tied to the greater Hoyo community. And unfortunately, this is one creator over here that looks like they have been suffering immensely as a result of this overwhelming Hoyo shield presence. We got Joshua, I think Joshua is how you pronounce it. So one thing that happened over here is that this creator had an issue with Genshin 5.7. They wanted to talk about the problems in the main story quest, the pacing, the overall rewards, all of that stuff. And they just gave honest critiques about the game. Unfortunately, though, their community was not very happy with it. This is a diabolical dislike ratio for the number of views it got. And last time we checked, I feel like half of these are my channel, because I went ahead and the first thing I saw when I looked at this was it was 44 likes and 42 dislikes. Yeah, it was a little bit nuclear. And it looks like, I think he filtered some of his comment section. There were some pretty nasty... Oh, nope, never mind. They're still here. They're still here. Let's just read an example of the stuff that they'll be sending you if you dare critique the game.
Making a negative video just to farm engagement. Former Genshin CC dunking on Genshin will definitely bring the click, right? Because ZZZ 2.0 story that you... Because the ZZZ 2.0 story that you love so much is 10 out of 10 peak cinema.
It's not. Guys, you can see over here, right? You would assume that there should be some degree of, you know, maybe like an alliance, a business partnership between Hoyoverse games. But as we've covered in videos in the past, no, the fan bases for these games do seem like relatively independent, and they will even take shots at each other frequently to make it seem like they're on top. And so it's not enough just to be a Hoyo creator. You also have to be a specific creator for a specific game. Otherwise, the other Hoyo games will actually start attacking you. It's just... we're at the point where taking a look at all of this stuff, seeing all the different details, should have you wondering, right? What's the best path forward as somebody that's mainly covering Genshin Impact? What's the best path forward? And this is the thing. I think you really have two options, right? You either try to dramatically rebrand your channel, alienate your prior audience, and try to move forward from there, or you just be like Flip. And what Flip decided to do was just straight up bend over and become the biggest Hoyo shill out of all Hoyo shills, and straight up essentially just lie about what is going on in Hoyoverse games to paint them in a better light than they should. And the unfortunate part about this, right, is that it might give you some short-term rewards, it might give you some short-term gains, but then you will be known undoubtedly as the biggest clown in the gacha space. Because I think one thing is clear. If you're seeing creators like Bran who have gone ahead and they've built up hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they're deciding that they finally need to make a change, they need to start shifting how they're doing content, that should tell you a couple of things, right? Because one thing for certain about the modern day is that people like making decisions, especially financial decisions, when they have data. And Bran probably has a lot of fucking data to look at, considering how long his YouTube channel has been up, how many views he has, how he, like, the results he gets on certain types of videos over others. And he's decided that the benefits outweigh the cons of leaving Hoyo games. And that's the thing. If he's seeing it, the guy whose lifeblood has been Genshin Impact, just look over here at the most popular videos. Holy moly, right? Holy moly. New player experiences Genshin. Literally every single thing on his channel, the entire top half of his video catalog, his discography, it is all Genshin Impact. All of it. In a sense, this has to be one of the biggest risks he's taking, but he's decided it's worth it because the games have gotten that bad. There's this little to talk about, and it's gotten this predatory. This is the same guy, ladies and gentlemen, that C6 Mavuika because of a bet he made with a Japanese mascot after calling the banners predatory. And he's decided even after that, even after doing one of the most shill things possible in the history of gacha gaming, he's then decided to turn his back on Hoyo. But this is the thing. We're gonna do a bit of a wraparound when it comes to this entire issue. Now, after seeing all of this, right? After seeing the response that you're gonna get over here, the amount of betrayal that your community is gonna have for you after you decide to go ahead and critique Genshin Impact, is it too much of a surprise now to find out why some creators like Doro44 have been having responses like they've had recently, right? People have talked a lot about how Doro, right, was super hypocritical about how he was covering Wuthering Waves, about how he was pointing out critiques in Wuthering Waves for features and fan service and design that he was glazing the shit out of when it came to Hoyo games. It's simple, right? Because the Hoyo community is crazy. It's unhinged. It's full of 17-year-olds with malformed frontal lobes. They still have long COVID. And the issue is, guys, you either appeal to this audience or you abandon them. One creator over here has decided to abandon them because they're a bunch of stupid little kids. And another creator, on the other hand, has decided to embrace them. But we still have yet to see, right? There's still time to change. If BranOnline was able to recover, become sober after C6ing Mavuika less than a year ago, he C6 Mavuika around 6 months ago, and this is the amount of transformation he's had. Let's be real here. Doro44 has the same exact opportunity for that as well. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, it's clear. There is a duality when it comes to Hoyo shills. Some are recognizing, some are opening their eyes, but others, well, they might just go ahead and keep pandering to their audience. But we've already seen history of it. We've already seen a Hoyo shill in recovery. We can only hope that it keeps stretching further and further into the future from here. So yeah, that'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, this has explained a lot of the sort of like ongoing CC drama that's been happening in the Genshin space. And thankfully, right, I think the cure for that is just playing better games. And I'm glad to see that there's a lot more Wuthering Waves coverage across all these different channels that we've been seeing lately. Maybe when it's time for a contract renewal for Mr. Doro, maybe he gets some more loosened terms that let him make some more critiques about Genshin Impacto, because let's be real here. I think the biggest thing that would help solve a lot of these issues, right, is if every single creator was speaking out about it instead of just a couple. And that might mean avoiding contracts that don't let you critique the game. So yeah, let me know what you all think about this issue, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.